So, I am starting with episode 2 today of season 1 of my review of The Sopranos and the spiritual meanings of self development that I have been able to pull from it. You know, how a way to show how triggers affect people in decisions that they make in life. Okay, so this episode opens up with Tony, Silvio, Pussy, Chrissy, and Polly. I think they might have been at the pork store. They were watching the news, and the discussion on the news was the mob life. And there was this retired mobster there who was saying that the decline of mob life is their fault because of the introduction of drugs. And if you are into that type of thing, you know history does show that it things did start getting worse for them because the cops were always watching them. But things did start getting worse for them when they introduced drugs. Because of the charges that come with drug charges, a lot of them started to just tell because they didn't want to do the time that came with it. And this is something that was evident in The Godfather. Um, the reason why the beef started between him and the other families is because they wanted his connections so that they would be able to sell drugs safely, and he didn't want to do that because he saw the future, and he knew that bringing drugs into the life would cause issues for them. It would make a lot of men break and they would snitch. Okay, so in the next scene, Chrissy and his friend Brandon is robbing a truck that's under Uncle Junior's umbrella. And what was funny about this scene was the driver asking them to beat him up so he wouldn't lose his job. Because I'm pretty sure in the New Jersey and New York area, it was something that consistently happened with drivers being in cahoots with the mob or any other gang, and just allowing them to get whatever they wanted off the truck without, any issue. And they did what he asked, but they went extra hard, of course, because they're the big bad mob gangsters or whatever. Okay, so in the next scene, Carmilla wants Tony to help Anthony Jr.'s science teacher with finding his car because somebody stole it. And Tony, knowing his wife is a bird because that's why he chose her, he asked her, no, he asked Anthony Jr. what his grade was, and I think it might have been a C or a D. And so he was like, yeah, that's why you really want me to look for the car. And she was trying to play innocent like that wasn't the reason, but that was absolutely the reason. Okay, so in the next scene, Tony is at the strip club with Chrissy and his homeboy Brandon. They brought the DVDs in there that they got off the truck. Um, Now, them robbing this truck also created more issues between Tony and Uncle Junior. You know, they already had beef previously because Uncle Junior was trying to whack um, somebody at his friend Artie's restaurant. So this right here it was like just adding more flames to the fire. Now, Tony isn't fond of the bartender at the strip club, and I feel like it's because Tony knows that this guy's afraid of him because of his position, and he knows that he can put his anger on him as opposed to any of the other guys that are around him. Although there are some times that he did do that to them. Um, he was upset because he didn't know how to place calls on hold, which is so simple. But Tony got these other things that's going on around his mind, so he just basically used that little small thing as a way to get his anger off at someone. He's waiting for an important phone call from someone. Now, he calls his mother, who doesn't seem happy to hear from him. Every interaction he has with this woman is a negative one. She puts him on hold, um, and I forgot what she put him on hold for, but she goes to the window. Oh, she was cooking eggplants. So she goes to the window and she's watching this black male lady. And because she is a racist, she is thinking that the woman is doing something illegal when she's simply doing her job. So while she's doing that, the food that she's cooking catches on fire. She picks the phone up and it's like she almost forgot she was talking to Tony. And then she tells him what's going on, and Tony, he gets off the phone with her. He told her to call 911. He gets off the phone with her, calls Carmela and tell her to go over there with her. Um, because he said that she'd get there before he would. So, in the next scene, the firefighters are leaving, and Carmela tells Liv that she needs help, but of course she doesn't want it. Um, she suggests the senior living center, and she doesn't want to do that either. And this prompts Carmela to offer her to stay with them, but she says that she knows that they don't want her there, and then she says she can't leave the house because it's the house that Tony's father brought. But I mean, you'll see throughout the season how, and even in season two, where they'll make little jokes about how she treated him. I think I might have mentioned that in episode one, but yeah, they said she's calling him a saint and everything now, but when he was alive, she didn't have a nice word for him. So Pussy Bombacero has sent someone out to look for Anthony's car. I'm gonna stop calling him that. It's Pussy now. So Pussy sends someone out to look for Anthony Jr.'s science teacher's car. He has a auto shop. Pussy does, and so he's sending out somebody to find information about it, and they get the information back, and he and Polly goes out to the spot where the person works, and while they're in there, Polly notices that it's like a coffee shop that the person works in, and Polly notices like the similarities to little coffee houses in Italy and how it's associated with their culture, and he becomes mad, and it becomes a whole thing throughout this episode. Okay. So Tony talks to Dr. Melfi about his mother, and he said that she finally agreed to have someone to sit with her. And while he's talking to her about this, Dr. Melfi asks him about the happy times that he had with his mother. Excuse me for a second. Okay, I'm back. So, when she asked him about happy memories that he has with his mother, he couldn't really think of one. He paused for a second because it couldn't just it wasn't a thought that could come quickly. But then when he finally had a thought, it was a thought about his father falling and all of them laughing. And Dr. Melfi was like, "Yeah, so any other happy moments?" in like a sarcastic way, because that's totally not a happy moment to be laughing at the expense of someone falling and potentially hurting themselves. Um, and he he felt bad because of what she said, because he was still in this moment of feeling like he complained about his mother, but then when Dr. Melfi would point out the things that were toxic about her, he had that protection for her, so he wouldn't receive it. He knew it was true, but he was acting like it wasn't, you know. So he just wouldn't receive it. So because he felt bad for complaining about her to Dr. Melfi, he took her some flowers, and both he and his mother are being racist towards the new lady that they have to watch over her. She's I think she was definitely a cousin from the islands. Um, she eventually does something to make the lady quit in the rest of the episode. But while he's there, she tells him that his uncle is looking for him. Now, this is the episode where I really consider that they introduce us to Jackie, because the first episode was like a pilot. So, although it does coincide with the rest of the stories throughout the season, there's some things that they left out. That's how normal pilots normally are. So Jackie is fighting cancer, but because he's the acting boss at the time, Uncle Junior asks for a sit down because he is upset about Chrissy and Brandon robbing his truck. Now, Jackie rules that the boys had to pay restitution to Junior for them doing it. And after they come to an agreement when Tony leaves, he starts bad mouthing him for having a black woman look over his mom. A lot of people who are into mob stories like me and others, they say that they don't understand why, as a black person, we're into it when they don't really like us. And I'm just there for the story. That's it. I understand what they're saying when they say it, but I'm just there for the story. That's it. That's it. That's all. Okay. So, Pussy and Polly is still no. Pussy and Polly has found the right coffee shop where the person works at who took Anthony Jr.'s science teacher's car. And Polly is still mad about the Italian culture being raped. And this is what I say about all people who have African. If you're tan, then you have African in that skin. That's what I say about a lot of our stories being so similar, because he was going off like I say we do about things that we feel like have been taken away from our culture. And when once they got the information that they needed, he took a cup or took something from out of the shop. I guess as a way for him to get his get back from them raping his culture or whatever. So next scene, Chrissy and Brandon are mad about how much money they have to get a Junior for the truck hit. And Chrissy is complaining about him not being made after he did his first hit. Um, he's talking to Tony about this. Um, because Tony's letting him know, you got to pay this restitution. And Brandon says something stupid. I liked his character, but he was always saying something stupid. And Tony put him out of the meme. And then after that, Tony tells Chrissy to leave the businesses that is up under Uncle Junior alone. Okay, so Pussy and Polly finds the boys who stole Anthony Jr.'s teacher's car. And no, is that I'm saying it wrong. Oh, what is that man's name? Is it Mike Epps? The comedian. I think his name is Mike Epps. I'm sure his name is Mike Epps. And listen, I don't want to say that like I don't know this man work or whatever. He's funny. There's another Epps in the industry, and I just want to make sure I'm saying his last name right. But anyway, he was the guy who stole the car, Lover, which is funny to me because I wouldn't even think that he would play a role of him being gay with the way that he speaks about the LGBTQ community. Um, so they get him and they make them steal another car that looks like the teacher's car. So now this is although Pussy did what he was told, he felt like a do boy going out looking for Tony's son's teacher's car. He makes him feel a way about doing it. That is going to play a part in some of the things that Pussy does throughout the season 1 and 2. So Carmilla cooks dinner. They wait for Tony's mother to get there. She's supposed to pick up Carm's parents and bring them there. While dropping off one of her friends, she didn't put the car in reverse and she hit the lady and it injured her. Um, and Liv broke her wrist. So after she did this, it was suggested by the hospital that she shouldn't live alone. And so he talks to Dr. Melfi about it, who also agrees that she needs to go into a facility. And this helps Tony to finally make the decision of going ahead and moving forward with it. Now, Liv is being her victimizing self, trying to deflect as Tony talks to her about her going to a home. Um, she does the whole the mother guilt thing. Um, she's been giving away her things that should be passed down to her grandchildren, to other family members, and of course, this makes Tony upset. Um, she tells him basically, "I'm not going. I don't care what you're talking about." And he basically told her, "You're going." And she's telling him, "You can't make me." And he's like, "Oh, I go to the law, and I get power of attorney over you, and you won't have a choice but to go." So Chrissy, in that scene, Chrissy backs out of doing the hit. He doesn't want to mess up his place, and how he's growing in his crew. Um, so Brandon is pretty much calling him a pussy for not wanting to do it. So he goes and gets some other people to help him. And it looked like he went. Before I say this, I loved how the the producers, directors, or whoever it is that's in charge of how the scene may go and how people may act. I love the fact that when they had black characters on the show, they portrayed them from how they see that we are. Because when I tell you that every black character that has played on this show, to me, they had absolutely no soul and they moved like a white person wrote their character, and I like that. I do, because it I just thought it was authentic for them to do it that way. Okay, so he gets some black guys to help him with the robbing the truck, and they get the truck, but just like most young men who get into gang life, these little boys don't know how to shoot a gun or what to do or whatever, and so he he tells the guy to get out of the truck, and he instructs one of the young males, the young black males, to get into the truck to drive away with it. I don't know what he was trying to get him to do, but he didn't know what he was doing. So Brandon is like, "Get out." And as he gets out, his gun that he had in his lap falls and it shoots the driver, and it kills the driver. And now Brandon is like he's scared because he knows that Junior is going to find out. Okay. Um, Carmilla and Tony take Liv to the home, and to show how it is, and while they're there talking to the, I guess, the head, the would who would be considered like in a general manager role. So they're talking to her, and while he's in there, Tony calls him there to tell him about what happened with the truck. So once they're home, Chrissy calls and he tells him what Brandon did after he asked Tony to call him from the outside line. And or maybe, I don't know. I know they had, it was that doesn't matter. Anyway, so he's talking to Chrissy, And Chrissy tells him what happens. And Tony hang up because he mad. Because he know this is going to cause more issues between him and his uncle. Um, Tony makes them, after going over the suits that they had, Tony tells them, you got to get the stuff back to him. But Tony is going to get his taste because, after all, they are gangsters, right? Um, in the next scene, the teacher gets the car back and he notices the paint is wet. And Anthony tells him that his uncle Pussy has a car shop and he's the one that helped him to get his car back to him. Now, give me just a second. All right. So while Tony was packing up his mother's things, he almost has a panic attack because of the stress that is coming with putting her in the home and how she feels, and him loving her and wanting to please her and knowing that she needed to go, but also concerned with how she feels. But he was able to control it. And he talks to Dr. Murphy about this, and she's trying to get him to see that his anger that he has in him is also for his mom, but again, he's still not ready to receive it. So, in the next scene, while at Silvio's club, sitting at the bar, Tony gets upset with the bartender again about the phone. Now, the trigger, he's going through what he's going through with his mama. He put her in a home. She don't want to go. He his nephew's friend and hit Uncle Junior's truck again. Now he's got to worry about what's gonna happen with that. Can't talk about his emotions. Don't even want to acknowledge that these things are causing him to pass out. And instead of dealing with the anger, he takes it out on the bartender. He gets up and hits him with the phone, misplacing his anger, which is what a lot of us do when we have things that are bothering us in our life, especially when it's associated with people who we love, and especially our parents. Um, you want to please them, you want to make them proud. They can come across to you in a way to where you feel like you're suffocating, um, because your life, in this case with his mom not being able to help herself and his sisters not being there to help him, so he's the only one who has to deal with that. That is a suffocating feeling, of feeling like you're the only person who has to deal with something. And you topped it off with the fact that you're already a mob boss, you know. But Tony doesn't want to. He he's using therapy as a way to become a better mob boss. Now, right now, in season 1, episode 2, he still hasn't really fully gotten there of how it's going to help him, but he's also not really receiving the things that she's telling him about how, what's going on with his mom is one of the key reasons why he has so much stress around him. I think this may be where the episode ends for episode 2. Yeah. So throughout this episode, it was just more of an explanation to why Tony is having his panic attacks. So with me, with episode 2 ending that song, I think I'll just go ahead and make this. No, I won't. I want every video to have their own. I won't do the episode 3 on this one. But yeah, so this episode was just a continuation of showing the build up of why Tony is so stressed out, because of how his mother, her not being able to be herself and not being able to be by herself anymore, her not wanting to go to the home, him like caring enough about her to where it does bother him that she doesn't want to go. He's not doing it to punish her, although she makes his nerves bad. He loves her. He's doing it because he loves her. And that's stressful in itself when you're doing something for someone who you truly love to help them and they don't want you to help them and they make it seem like you're trying to hurt them when it's really coming from your heart, you know? So, yeah. So, thank you for watching and stay tuned for episode 3 of season 1. Bye.